Hey friends, Kylie here, your host of Dream On with Kylie O'Miller, back for season 6 of the Dream On podcast. That's right. I am so excited to be here today for another episode with current University of Florida assistant coach, one of my pro teammates, and someone whose passion and outlook are what keep her driving towards greatness. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. These episodes are recorded from a Zoom webinar that I hold through the KO17 Lacrosse app and are constructed into this Dream On podcast that you have found here. I hope you are gaining some insight from these episodes from some of the people that I've met throughout my lacrosse journey that have imposed so much of their wisdom on me. If you're loving our episodes so far, please show us some love in the reviews and rate us 5 stars. Also, be sure to SUBSCRIBE. It would mean the world to us. All right, we've got another special guest this week to start off season 6, and I am so pumped to get right into it. Nicole Levy is this episode's guest, and I couldn't be more excited for you all to hear more about her story. Nicole mentions her passion for the game of lacrosse a bunch in this episode, and as we get to know her on a deeper level throughout our conversation, we realize how important that is in connecting to her love for playing, love for coaching, and honestly just experiencing all of the highs and lows that come with having a career in sports. She's been inspired by some of the all-time greats, and she can absolutely consider herself one of those all-time greats herself. Having played at the professional level, being at the top of the record books at a storied program like Syracuse lacrosse, and coaching for multiple top 20 Division I programs, Nicole for sure knows a thing or two about performing at the highest level. She also shares with us where she finds her inspiration, and I think you'll find a lot of inspiration from her in the same way as you listen to this episode. Let's do it. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the Dream On podcast. I'm your host, Kylie O'Miller. We are here in season 6. We do seasons kind of however our seasons roll around here for my life, but season 6 to start off, we have Nicole Levy. I'm pumped about this. She grew up in the town next to me, and our paths really didn't cross too much up until we got to play collegiately and professionally against and with each other. So I'm really excited to dive in. And Nicole, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me. Excited as well.
I love it. Okay, so those of you, for our listeners, our guest here today, she is a legend. She played at Syracuse. She graduated in 2019. She's in the Syracuse record books top 10, which I thought this was awesome. For goals, she's 9th there. Points, she's 10th there. And assists, she's 8th there. And that's obviously a very storied program. So that's incredible. She played in Athletes Unlimited Pro Lacrosse from 2021 to 2023. We got to be some teammates there. That was fun. She also won a gold medal at the Super Sixes with USA in 2023. That was last year. And she coached for the Ireland U20 national team in the World Championship in Hong Kong just a couple weeks ago. So I can't wait to dive into that as well. And if you guys are watching the video, you can see she's in her office here. She's currently the assistant coach at the University of Florida. So obviously an incredible lacrosse mind. And I can't wait to really just dive into it and have you here today. But we always like to start off to a good start on the Dream On podcast. So we try to just kind of dive into like where you are right now in your headspace right here today. So for reference, it's Tuesday, October 8th, 2024 at around 3:30 p.m. What's something that you're thankful for today, Nicole?
So I have been really thankful for my family recently. I don't get to see them as often as I would hope. And the amount of support and love that I've been getting, just reaching out just about the storm that's coming. It's not really hitting Gainesville too hard, but still just to hear from a bunch of my family members that I haven't spoken to in a while, reaching out, making sure I'm okay. It meant a lot.
Yeah, that's awesome. Us Long Island families, we stick close no matter where we are, right?
Absolutely.
What is something you're proud to say that you've accomplished so far today?
So today, I would say we had a really good practice this morning here in Florida. I think we're shaping up. We got a lot of young guns that are coming out of the gates on fire. They've been really impressing us recently, and I think starting to see their offensive IQ click has been just incredible for us to be a part of.
I love it. I'm excited to dive into that too, because I know some of the headlines has you guys with like a lot of the big recruits in this 2026 class. So yeah, pumped to kind of talk about that down the line here. Last but not least, what is something that you're pumped to go chase? It could be with the rest of today, could be with the rest of this week, could be in the next coming year. What are you pumped to chase?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think gonna I'm probably gonna have to answer that. I'm pumped to chase another season of NCAA lacrosse. I think, I'm down here coaching with Reggie Thorpe, who was my coach at Syracuse for 4 years, and something that he says all the time that really sticks with me, and I completely agree with, is that the fun part about coaching is that it's every year it's still lacrosse, that doesn't change, but the team changes. And it's new people coming in. Unfortunately, you lose some people right when they graduate, but I think I'm excited to chase another Final Four run with a very young but skilled group of girls.
I love that. I could tell you're really passionate about the coaching side, and I know that about you just knowing you personally. But I guess like heading right into it now, like where you're at now, living down in Gainesville, coming from Long Island, like is it coaching mostly when you wake up during the day and you're like, this gets me excited to attack my day? What are some of those things that kind of get you excited to attack a typical day in your life right now?
Yeah, so I'm pretty fortunate because our practice schedule, we actually go 8 to 10 in the morning. So the first thing I do when I wake up is think about, okay, sweet, I get to go to work. And I think it's really special to be excited to wake up, excited to go to work. I don't even like calling it work, right? Because when you love what you do, you don't have to work a day in your life. So.
Mm. I love it. Doing what you love. That's the goal for all of us, right? What outside of that, I mean, you start early in the morning. What does the rest of your day look like? What does a typical day in the life of a college lacrosse coach look like?
Yeah, so typically, for us, we have that 8 to 10 time slot, and then the girls will go to lift, or if they don't have lift, they'll go get food or whatever, and then we sit as a staff and we will plan practice, things that we need to improve on or work on, things that we need to accomplish for the week, whether it's in a zone or man, and just trying to hit all those different angles. And then having the girls come in is always fun for me. I know you can only get the back view of my office, but right in front of me, I have a little hammock, swing, camping chair. I have a beanbag in here. I'm actually playing with one right now, a little fidget toy. I got
Yeah.
a bunch of that stuff. So I love when the girls come in and, my door's always open. We can watch film, we can chat, we can talk about anything. It doesn't have to be lacrosse, but I love when they stop by and hang
Mhm.
out with me. So lots of film, lots of individual stuff like that too. Going out to the field. I absolutely love three by, which is a really cool form of lacrosse. Have you ever played three by?
I have, yeah, and I know you've talked about it a lot to me from your Colorado days. So give us a little rundown on what it is.
Yeah, totally. So basically, it's pretty pretty easy and it's a lot of fun. It's a 3v3 on a mini net, and somebody's always in net, right? So it becomes like that 3v2, and I like to go to X and work on my dunks a little bit, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's good. We play with a tennis ball, so the goalies can be wherever. They don't need to have equipment on or anything like that, and it's fun. I think it's good for the girls to not only get out there and play with a tennis ball and work on their stick skills with their soft hands and their IQ with the 3v2 and constant movement, but also just to enjoy lacrosse again, right? And just like, sometimes there's some days at practice where, it's a grind. It is when you're playing at a high level, in Division 1 or any, NCAA lacrosse, right? When you're playing at the highest level and you want to compete and win, like you could sometimes forget a little bit of your whole why, right? Which is, you started playing the sport because it was fun and you choose to be here. You don't have to be. So I think it's important for them to understand that and to have like a little bit of relief and come back later in the day once we have the intense practice in the morning, and then they come back later in the day and people are out there barefoot and we're just joking around, listening to music, playing some three by. So those are my days. So I'm pretty lucky.
Yeah, it sounds like a fantastic day. It sounds like your dream life. And I love it. And you mentioned that like 3x2, you started doing that a little bit. Obviously, you played a lot growing up, but you coached at Colorado before you got to Florida. And I know you did a lot of that, but with some buddies, out in Colorado too, and then have brought it down. I guess like when we think about your journey from graduating from Syracuse now to the position that you're in today, a couple different coaching jobs, couple different states, like what are some of the biggest challenges you think that come with, being out of college, being in that limelight of playing, and then trying to figure out, oh my gosh, like what are the next steps for me in life? Like, where do you find some of those challenges and how have you gotten through them?
Totally. Yeah, I think that question that question definitely hits home a little bit.
That's right.
Because when you're looking for these coaching jobs, it's you can't just pick and choose where you want to live and where you want to establish yourself, right? It kind of happens based off of openings and opportunities, and you got to chase the ones that you feel are best for you. And I think moving out to Colorado for me was it was an awesome experience. I think working for Ann Elliott Wooden was incredible. And, she coached and played at Northwestern and started the program at Boulder. And I absolutely loved it. And my first year I was living in Boulder and it felt like it was just, such a very cool, awesome town, but also at the same time, it was a college town. So being just graduated, it was kind of that weird in between. And then my second 2 years there, I ended up moving and living in Denver, and I would commute to Boulder. So I had a little bit of that separation where I was able to build a life and kind of figure out who I was as an individual and not just the lacrosse side of me, which is usually what people just associate when they think of me. But yeah,
Most of
and then coming here and the opportunity here to work every day with Mandy, Reggie, and now Haley Hicklin, which I also wanted to kind of touch on real quick because this is pretty cool. We
Yes,
can come back to it later, but
please.
I played for Reggie for 4 years. Haley played for Mandy for 4 years. Reggie and Haley coached together at Pitt, and now here we all are together
Wow.
at Florida. So I love that. I think it's really cool and says
Yeah.
something huge about how special this place is. Anyway, I'll go back to what I.
No, let's touch on that really quickly because
Okay, yeah.
yeah, I love that because and you were just mentioning too, like going into the profession that you're into out of college, it's like a lot of unknowns, right? I don't know where I'm going to end up living across the country. I don't know, what my bosses are going to be like, or the team culture is going to be like, or the coaching staff culture. And for you to be able to like go through everything that you've gone through, figure out who you are, and then be able to land here in a space where you're like, oh my gosh, this kind of like feels like family, and it feels like fate, and it feels like all these different connections.
Right.
I mean, you know me well as well, but I really believe in like those connections can help you be incredibly successful, especially when it comes to sports. So like, I mean, no wonder why you guys are heading to Final Fours and grabbing big recruits and doing big things for Florida. So yeah, I love that you mentioned that because I think that it's like super full circle and it happens for a reason. It's going to make it special for you guys.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely, and we're all so passionate about not only this program but this university. So it's definitely a really really fun gig.
I love
Um but yeah, and then so when I moved down to Gainesville, similar to Boulder, right? It's that college town, and on the outs, there's not much on the outsides, right? So that was a little bit difficult in a lot of ways, just trying to adjust and rebuild my life. I left all my friends behind and kind of try to restart that process. But luckily, it is a huge university and athletic department itself. So being able to make connections in, not only just other assistant coaches that also work here, but some other of the SIDs or the facilities guys, right? The people that are a little bit younger, but also out of college, right? In that weird kind of in between. So.
I love that. It's a really important thing to talk about, because I feel like no matter what the profession is, whether you continue in lacrosse afterwards or you don't, like it's just such a strange time in life, our 20s, where you're just trying to make new friends and figuring out like what's next and being in new places. So I don't know. I'm excited to see you really happy and thriving down there. So
Thank you.
but let's go back to East Islip, why don't we?
All right. The better isolate.
No. For those listening, we got a little East Islip rivalry going on. I don't really know why we barely played each other in anything, but
Never.
it was like non-league games before the season would actually start. We played you in basketball a little bit, but like other than that, it never really crossed paths. But yeah, I mean, so you grew up in East Islip on Long Island in New York, obviously an incredible hotbed for lacrosse. What was, before you even found lacrosse, like what was your introduction to all sports like? Was it lacrosse first or was it other sports or how did it go?
Yeah, I wish. Actually, no, I don't even. I was gonna say I wish I had a different answer, but that's not true at all. Yeah, I mean, I I'm pretty sure lacrosse is the first sport that I've ever played. I think my dad had a stick in my hand at the age of like 3. He played in high school, he played in college, and then he coached college, then he coached boys varsity, then he switched over to girls varsity when I was in 6th grade. So it was introduced to me through him, and then just I mean, I fell in love. Also, not only was the sport itself, but also the idea of me becoming a coach, watching him go through all that, and then he's got his club, program legacy. Shout out.
Shout
But so he's got the coaching bug as well, and I think I fell in love just through him. I mean, I played other sports growing up, but none compared to as much fun I had. Like here's a
Yeah,
great example, right? So you wake up Thanksgiving morning, and most families are gonna go out and play flag football, or like people come over and before dinner you're throwing the football around. Not my family. We had 3 by. And so that's what we were doing in my backyard.
I
I can't tell you how many fences, windows have been shattered. My mom's a saint. She actually, me and my friend broke a window probably like 20 years ago, and they just fixed it yesterday. I actually called my mom. I was like, "Why didn't you
literally
fix the window? Like that was a staple." I was mad at her for fixing the window, but yeah.
we
So no, lacrosse was always the sport in our household. All my cousins played as well, or even if they didn't play, we always played in my backyard. So yeah.
That's awesome. I love that. And like you could tell there's obviously like that family dynamic that's surrounding lacrosse that really is important to you guys. And I also think it's a weird twist of fate that you're talking about this story on the podcast today and your mom just fixed that fence yesterday.
Yes. Yes. I'm not even kidding. I'll literally send you the screenshots of the text message.
I can't wait. That's so funny. We've all definitely broken our fair share of windows and, sorry, all the moms and dads out there and neighbors. But we're really not that sorry.
No.
So I love it. What was it for you? I know you fell in love with the aspect. I think something really interesting you said, like you didn't only fall in love with the game, but you also fell in love with coaching. What was it about the game and I guess that you fell in love with first on like a playing side and like keeps you in love with it? And then on the coaching side of things, obviously watching your dad, but was that something you always knew? You were like, oh my God, I want to be my dad. I want to be like him. I want to be able to inspire like that. Or how did that go for you?
Yeah, I think you know, growing up and having lacrosse like always be a part of my life, just
Mhm.
naturally, like when I started actually playing, because I was introduced to it at such a young age, I feel like it was just easy for me to find confidence in that aspect. And I felt like, growing up, I wasn't the most confident like in school or like in the classroom or anything like that. But anytime I had a lacrosse stick in my hand, I was at my most confident, full, like really felt like myself. So I think the confidence piece was huge for me, just like having something that I was like, oh, like not only do I love this, but I'm actually decent at this. So being able to kind of practice that every day, like it was just fun. And I think that was definitely the thing. And then I think when it came to coaching, I feel like everybody has their stories, and coaches who have inspired them, coaches who have maybe like not made them feel at their most confident. And I think I've had that experience throughout my life, in my career, where I knew like how greatly I was impacted by my coaches, specifically my dad and Reggie, at Syracuse, right? How inspired I was and how motivated I was, and how they just kind of made like could make one small compliment could make my whole day and things like that. And I just saw the impact that they really had on me. And I knew that I really wanted to be able to make that impact and share that with the world and the youth of lacrosse in the future.
And I know you are. That's awesome. I had to ask about both because I know that they both have really big meanings to like why you continue to do what you do, and continue to play and have so much fun with it, even if it's 3 by or throughout your professional career as well. So, which we're going to get into in a second. But how did you find Syracuse? Or how did Syracuse find you? Like, talk me through that young girl that was playing 3 by in the backyard with her family, the process to landing in upstate New York for college.
Yeah, ironically, it transitions perfectly because 3 by is a style of lacrosse where it's creative, it's free flowing, and you can be who you are as a player. You can try new things. It doesn't matter. We can laugh about it. We can. Mistakes are meant to be happen, and just as long as you're trying something new and having fun,
Mhm.
you're good to go. Right. And that's what Syracuse lacrosse is. I remember going to a bunch of camps and clinics and through the recruiting process, and some of them were more stressful than others. And I remember being at a tournament and having somebody kind of come up to me and tell me that I couldn't play sidearm because it wasn't going to work at the next level. And that was devastating to hear, considering that's all I did, right? Growing up playing both playing and then watching my dad coach men's lacrosse too, it just like was a huge part of my game. And then I went to my first ever winter camp at Syracuse, and the first thing we did was partner passing, and Gary said, all right, sidearm passing. And I looked at my dad from the bleachers and I was like, I mouthed like, I'm coming here. um and that's what it was. I just knew like I loved the fact that growing up, like I was able to be creative and try new things, and that's the honestly, that's like the biggest thing for Syracuse is that's what it is. We're creative and we're able to kind of free flow, and you're going to try something new as long as it's the right timing of it. Like it's
Right.
okay to make mistakes, just try something new. But yeah, so that was pretty much it for me.
I love that.
The Edge Pro Plus is the latest complete stick from Brine Lacrosse, featuring thermal lock and resin designed to perform in all temperatures, and ISO warp mesh to help drive the ball right into the sweet spot. Paired with our lightest Edge Pro carbon handle, this stick is guaranteed to help you find your edge over the competition. Check with your local retailer online or in store to find Brine products.
I love that. That's really, really cool. And I love the sidearm story because I think all of us attackers probably have something similar, some sort of similar story about the sidearms, but you're right. It's your signature thing. Like I remember playing against you guys and it's like, hey, watch out for Levy. She's gonna rip it from there and she's gonna get her hands free and she's gonna be able to sting the corner. So, like it's one of those things that I love that they were able to instill the confidence in you and continue to push you to be the player that like you are, right? And
Right.
like that's the fun part about lacrosse is that you watch all of the best players and everyone has a different unique style to them. It's the
Absolutely.
same game, but everyone's got their own way of cradling, everyone's got their own way of seeing the field, running, all those things. So I love that they were able to like, really open that up for you. And it obviously worked out. So I love love that too. What can you think back to your Q days and tell me some like maybe some high moments, some big wins or some overcoming some things, or maybe there's some low moments that turned into high moments for you because it was kind of a challenge that you had to overcome, maybe a little bit of both.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I can remember my freshman year going all the way to the Final Four, and being like that was the bare minimum for us and as a program at that time, and it was like that was your expectation. Like you walk into the first day of fall ball freshman year, and it's like, yeah, we're going to the Final Four, and I absolutely love that. And we went all the way through that season and got there and got to play on that huge stage. And as a freshman, it was just an incredible experience. And I was like, oh sweet, like I got this for 3 more years. And then we didn't we didn't go to the Final Four the last 3 years. And I think that that's where I kind of realized like leadership is huge, right, on teams. And I think understanding that, and I guess I never really understood the impact that culture and leadership really does have on programs. And then, I haven't been back to a Final Four since that was 2016. And then last year, with our program here at Florida, taking them back, they haven't been back since 2012, I believe, right? So
Yeah, sounds
coming
about
back to
right.
a Final Four now as a coach, and I do want to say it was definitely more nerve wracking as a coach than it was as a player. Just saying. But yeah, like I think those moments at Syracuse, kind of seeing like the team, like you're gonna, like how I said before too, like every year it's different, the team's different and the dynamics different and your leadership changes, and the importance of that leadership is just huge. But yeah, I would say that was definitely a high for me, just being able to be on that stage. And then working through some things just sophomore, junior year. Senior year was a little bit better. Like we kind of clicked, had a little bit better leadership going into it, and ended up going a little bit further, but not quite to that Final Four. So I do think I took it for granted freshman year, because as a freshman I was just kind of riding the seniors' backs the whole time, and then realizing like, oh no, like we got to step up, and and kind of continue that tradition. But and then of course when I left, I was super proud of them, and they got back to that Final Four, and they've been riding that wave out too. But yeah, that's what I would say.
I love it. What are some of those like leadership things that you took from that whole process into maybe your coaching style or your playing style, or even some things that you try to, implement with your leaders now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just not being afraid to, make some waves. I think sometimes it's hard for people to step up into a leadership role when they're trying to be everyone's friend, because there are going to be some tough times where you have to be like, hey, like, cut it out, or like pay attention, or, we got to get this done. And negativity is contagious, unfortunately, but so is positivity, right? So I think that's like the hardest part. And it can't be, and there's a difference between like being positive, like it's okay, we got that, but like being hard when you have to be hard. I think that's the tough part about leadership. And I think last year, us at Florida, like our seniors did an incredible job of not only setting an example of how to lead, and how to act at practice, and how to play out every ball, and how to go hard every single drill, whether you're tired or whatever, no matter the circumstances, right? So I do think that, all credit to them, really. It was a dream to coach that group, and those seniors we're going to miss for sure. There definitely are people that are going to be stepping up this year for us too, but again, just like that leadership piece of not being able to make some waves, and not trying to be everyone's friends 24/7, trying to
Yeah.
be a little bit hard sometimes.
Yeah, that balance is the toughest thing. And I think that's really important for you to say, and very important for our listeners to hear too, because it's a big question. I'm sure a lot of us always get, right? Like, how can I be a better leader, and how can I, help my team out a lot? So I really appreciate that answer, because I think it's very real. Okay. One of my favorite questions to ask about our college days is, like, obviously I've never been in the locker room as a Syracuse player on game day, or like on the bus, and you've never been on the Stony Brook team. Same thing, right? So like traditions, or like funny moments, or little things that you think back and you're like, I'm going to remember that forever. That's a Syracuse tradition, something you can share with our listeners.
Yeah, wow, I gotta think about this. It's been a while. I mean, it's so simple, but honestly, just the way we would break down our huddles, like with our sticks, even just like at practice, like the attack. I remember like the offensive unit would be in, and like the thing we would say is like juice.
Okay.
Just like orange, Syracuse orange, like we'd say juice, on three, or like before games, like our little pregame ritual where we get in our huddle, and all of our sticks would go up, and then we'd bring it back down, slam it down, and say Cuse on three. Like that was something that was small. But I think the biggest thing that, and this is actually, I'm sorry that I keep doing this, because I keep talking about Syracuse and then bringing it back to Florida, but it
Oh,
also because
it's good. That's what you're,
it is
that is
good, but
what
like
like, if any coaches are listening, they're like, I want Levy's situation. My, your
yeah,
college days and your now job where you're coaching are like
right.
intermingling in the best way, and you're noticing all of these things. And to be quite honest, like, this happens all the time on these podcasts, and this is why I love doing it with my teammates and my peers. Because, like, when else are me and you're gonna have this conversation, and
Right.
like you're gonna be able to open up in these different ways of like stories and things like that. So I love when it happens. So please go for it.
All right. All right, perfect. Well, so what something else like in college is like Reggie Thorpe would give electric pregame speeches, like just unreal. He gets everyone so hype in the locker room, and they always hit home. He's such a like a tough guy, but always wears his heart on his sleeve, and he was the heart and soul of our program. And so the girls here get to experience it too, because he's still giving those pregame speeches. And I remember my first day on the job, like our first game, walking in the locker room, and like when I found out that he's still giving those speeches and doing it here, I almost cried. I literally almost cried. Like I've heard the best of his best, and this was just like an season opener, like normal pregame speech, but I was like getting emotional, because I'm like, this is amazing, and I couldn't imagine myself anywhere else right now.
Oh, that's really cool. Like, literally so full circle and so meaningful. And I just love that. That's cool. I would have 100% cried, so I don't know how you didn't walk out of that locker room.
We had
I
a
would
game to worry about. I couldn't cry just then, but
just then, just a little too nervous. Wait, you said something before that I wanted to circle back to, because I think it's so interesting, because I've never been to a Final Four as a player or a coach. You've been to one as both. and you said that you were more nervous as a coach. What went into that?
So I think it's the control aspect.
Mm,
As a coach, like I can draw things up and we can go over them and we can think about things like that. But I think, like as a player, like you're the one out there making the calls and making the plays. So I think you definitely have more control as a player, which is kind of, funny. You would think it would be the opposite, but I think that was definitely different. And then also just like accountability wise, I mean, any coach is going to take accountability, right? And I think that offensively, specifically that game against Northwestern last year, like there are so many things that I have been beating myself up over, like that we should have done or could have done or we should have done this, and I just think like as a player, it's kind of like, oh, like yeah, I could have made those plays, but like other people could make plays. But I think when it comes to accountability, I take a lot of blame necessarily, like I don't want to say blame, but also just like responsibility. So I
yeah.
feel like it was just more pressure on me at that time. Where as a player, it's like this is just lacrosse, go out and play, you
I
know.
like that. I ask because there's probably so many people listening, myself included, who would look at a Final Four situation as a player and be like, that's got to be the most nervous I've ever been. So I thought it was very interesting to see your take on that. And I also love your piece of advice there at the end. Like, this is just lacrosse. Like, let's just go play. It might be a really big stage, but pressure is a privilege. Like, let's just go play and have some fun with it. Oh, I love that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Like I told you, we always go rogue. Um,
I love it. My ADD mind is all over the place anyway.
me too. Me too. Okay. So you graduate from Cuse, and then the opportunity to play professionally comes up. How does that like in your brain? You're like, oh my gosh, like how do you think of little Nicole in the backyard? Like, what does that mean to you? And I guess like when you head into the 2021 first season of AU, what were some of your favorite memories playing with AU?
Yeah, for sure. So I mean, to go back on that, I also think I actually,
Mm-hmm.
um, as a player, I always felt like I was constantly having to prove myself and prove people wrong. I've never been the tallest, fastest, strongest, definitely not fastest, but player on any field, right? So I'm relying a lot on my stick skills and my IQ to start with. Going through college at Syracuse, like I feel like I had a great career. A lot of people don't know this. I was never actually an All-American. And then I never got drafted to the WPLL or the other league that existed as well. So I was still like I graduated college and I'm still like trying to prove myself as a player, which is ironic. And then the opportunity for Athletes Unlimited comes up and I'm like, awesome, like let's go for it. And I remember like, and you probably remember as well, like being super shy and super nervous, kind of felt like I didn't belong in a lot of ways because I was at that point I was like a year and a half, 2 years out of college. And my stick's always in my hand because I'm a coach and because I love playing three by. But really that was it. I hadn't played competitively since college, and I was looking at all the other people that were, in that league that year, and I'm like, gosh, I don't know, like I'm just gonna try to have fun and be the best that I can, but I'm not gonna expect much from myself because I just ironically didn't really have as much confidence as I did when I was growing up in the backyard.
Right.
But then when that opportunity presented itself and I got, the first game, I remember the first game you probably remember as well, diving into the back of the net on accident. I didn't even have the ball. Um, so that was
Uh,
really embarrassing, and that was the first weekend, and I was like, "Oh, that's it. I'm never gonna get drafted. I'm never gonna play. I'm always gonna
hey,
be."
that was my team.
Oh,
We
sorry. Yeah, see? Yeah, so you remember that pretty
Of
vividly. It
course.
was like a wide open fast break, and it's like, "Oh, great. Levy's open. Oh, no, she's in the crease. Oh, nope, now she's in the net."
In the net.
Yeah, I
She's
still have that video on my Instagram somewhere because that's just hilarious. You gotta laugh at yourself, right?
I
Um,
love
but yeah, so and then, getting comfortable and also just getting confidence from people around you because I think it's important. You have to have like self-confidence, obviously, but I do think there's outside factors that can play a role, which is also like in coaching, I think a compliment here or there, goes a long way for kids. And I know for me that was huge. So like playing with some of my idols growing up, like Katrina Dowd, Michelle Tumalo, Kayla Trainer, like getting to be on a field with all of them and being able to have them like come up to me and be like, you got it, like take that shot, it was open, like, why didn't you shoot? And it's like, because I was scared. And it's like, don't be scared, like, and so I think just the people around me and, you guys just, we were having so much fun and not really thinking. And then I was like, okay, yeah, it's just lacrosse, like, stop overthinking it and kind of getting into my groove and building that confidence. So that was a dream for me for sure, especially because I've always, like I said, been proving myself. And finally I was able to, like, prove myself and then just play.
And then just play.
Hey guys, Kylie here. A short break from our conversation to remind you to check in on our social channels. You can find little snippets from our episodes on Instagram at dream.on_pod. And if you're a lacrosse stud looking for a unique way to train and develop into the best version of yourself, like our guest here most definitely has, check out the KO17 Lacrosse app in the App Store. That's KO17 Lacrosse. And at DREAM_ON_POD on Instagram. Come join the fam and we can keep dreaming on together. Okay, enough of that. We back.
And then just play. I love that. I see this theme in your journey, and I'm hoping that our listeners are getting it too, but like this theme of just ultimately loving the game and like knowing that it's the one thing that brings you the most confidence in yourself. And then even on some days that, and I know like a lot of players out there can relate to this, but even on some days, right, when you don't feel your most confident playing, it's like finding whatever factors you can, teammates, coaches, getting back into just like falling in love with the game again, whatever it might be, to, get you to play your best is ultimately going to be like finding your smile again, finding the joy in it again.
Right.
I love that. Like, that's really, really cool. And I think especially, right now in lacrosse, like sometimes things are just so intense. Like, let's just play the game. It's the most beautiful game in the world. Let's just play, have some fun, like Levy. I love it. Okay, awesome. Well, I loved having you as a teammate. And I mean, I wish you were still playing so that we could kind of maybe do it again, but maybe we'll just have to do it on Thanksgiving in the backyard.
Absolutely.
Come
Yeah,
over?
come over for some Thanksgiving 3-by. You're more than welcome.
Oh, that would be so fun. Imagine, we would probably get like a crowd for that.
Absolutely. We should host it at Islip High School.
Wait, that would be sick. I'm actually like kind of thinking
I
about
hear
that.
you know one of the coaches, actually.
Yeah, shout out Taryn. Let's beat East Islip this year.
I love it.
Talk to me about some like something we talk about a lot on the Dream On podcast is like setbacks that lead us to success. So tell me about some, maybe like an injury or getting benched or like a setback in your career that you might be able to take some advice from that you've taken into your own life, but also can share with our listeners.
Yeah. So I mean, there's been a few, just, again, throughout my life, just about like the whole proving people wrong and things like that. And, whether it was like when I was in high school and the one year I didn't make Under Armour or things like that. But I think the most one that stands out in my brain is kind of like, I'm big on finding silver linings in whatever the situation is. And I remember my senior year, actually in the fall, I ended up having ankle surgery, a couple screws put in. And after that surgery, being out all fall, having to be there in the fall and not be able to play and have to sit and watch, like at first, first glance, that's like devastating. I mean, you've been through the whole injury train, right? And it's tough, and you have to kind of sit there and you cheer your teammates on, obviously, but you want to be more an impact and you want to, be more involved. So I remember sitting there and after like the first like couple days of being out, just being like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Like let's make the most of the situation. And then I've known I wanted to go into college coaching since my sophomore year of high school, probably even before that. I just probably didn't think about life after college. But so I always knew I wanted to be a coach. So when I couldn't play my senior year, because it was my ankle, not a knee or anything. So I was on a knee scooter actually, and I'd be scooting around the turf field, following the coaches around, just listening to what they were saying, how they were interacting with the players, trying to learn as much as I could. And then also, like draws, because I knew that an assistant coach coming straight out of college, a lot of times their position was going to be like helping with either offense or defense and like focusing on maybe like, draws. So I took that as an opportunity to sit with our Fogo, Morgan Widener. I call her Mogo. We all called her Mogo. And
Nickname.
because she was injured at that time as well, so she was out on the sideline. So we just sat there on the bench, and like it was during not like sevens where I would like be obviously paying attention and helping, some of the other people kind of see what I'm seeing offensively, but in drills, like stick work or things like that. And I'd sit with her and I would be like, hey, Mogo, tell me everything you know about the draw. Like, I want to learn everything you got, because I knew when I was graduated and I was looking for a job, having some draw, knowledge would be helpful. And again, I'm 5'2", not the biggest, not the fastest, not the strongest. I have never taken a draw in my life. Maybe like 2 in high school, but most people take them in high school, right? So I knew nothing and I wanted to learn more. So that was the area of my game from a coaching standpoint that I knew I can grow on, and I just kind of rolled with it. So
That's awesome. I really like that. And that can be applied not only in lacrosse, but like anywhere, right? Where you're like, okay, I know this might hopefully be the next step in my life. And I'm down right now, but I'm not down in this particular area. Like I can actually still get better at something else while I'm getting myself back on the field. So I love that you were in like preparation mode there, because not a lot of people would have been. And I also love the moment where you're able to kind of say to yourself, like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Like, let's make something happen here. Both really, really incredible pieces of advice for our listeners and for myself too. So thank you. Okay, we got a couple games here. Couple fun little inspirational games. I know you like games. So this one is just kind of like you're just gonna give me 3 words to each of these, okay, that come to your mind. So I want to know, what are the 3 things you think of, the 3 words you think of when it comes to what you value the most in a person?
love that.
Mhm.
Passion, empathy, trying to think. That's a good one. I want to say like fun, but I'm trying to think of a more sophisticated word.
Okay, well, we'll keep fun because we got a second one here. So what, same game, but what are the 3 things that you value the most in a teammate?
Ironically, the same things.
Same ones: fun, passion, and empathy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, do you have anything different for what you value in a leader? It's okay if not.
I'm trying to think. I mean, I would say I think passion and empathy are the 2 biggest for me, and definitely in a leader. Yeah. I don't know. That's a good question. I like that. I do. Let's see. I think also confident. If you're going to be a leader, you have to be confident. So I would probably substitute fun for confident in that one.
I like that because I think the fun can come from the passion and
Right.
yeah, all of that. I think it could come out for sure. I like it. We're also going to look up synonyms for fun too, because I
Yeah,
couldn't.
please do.
I couldn't think of one either.
Yeah, I might have went to Syracuse, but I didn't go there to play school.
We are athlete students, right? Not student athletes.
Well, yeah, I mean, I always knew I wanted to coach, right? So I minored in coaching. That was a thing. But
Is that
yeah. Mm-hmm.
that was the thing there? That's awesome. That's really cool. There's a coaching certificate at Stony Brook, but it was a graduate program. That's cool.
Still pretty cool. Yeah.
Always good to learn about other schools. Okay, little inspirational double whammy question here. Okay.
Okay.
So from someone important in your life, maybe a mentor, someone special, what is one piece of advice that you've taken from them and you've carried that into your own life?
I think I've learned, not through these words, but there's a quote that I love, and I associate them with both my dad and Reggie. And it's just that something that you care about is passion, and something that you're not, you don't really care about would be stressful. So I think that quote kind of playing into a role of how they have both shaped me as a human, not just a player, right? But also a human is just like understanding like the difference, right? When times are hard, it's kind of like looking back and it's like, well, you're passionate about this, so you don't have to stress. You know, this is something that you love. And I think that that would be my answer.
I love that. I love that. Something I haven't heard before either. So taking notes. Okay. We're flipping the script now. You are the person who is the mentor, which you are. You're a role model for tons of lacrosse players out there, right? And I'm listening to you or following you on social media or watching your lacrosse journey. What do you want me to take away from you?
I I would want you to take away similar, right? I would want you to understand, like, no matter how big of a part, like, by example, right? For me, no matter how big of a part of my life lacrosse has been and always will be, at the end of the day, it is just lacrosse, and you know, I think it's life is so much bigger than that, and you're gonna have your ups and your downs, but just make sure that you remember that passion and that drive, and it's supposed to be fun, and you're not here because you have to be. And I think that that is definitely the most important thing, and I think it's super important in college athletes specifically because it does get really intense sometimes, and there are definitely some down days where you're kind of like, you know, sore or tired, and you know, but I hate when kids say that they're burnt out. I don't believe in burning out. If you burned out, it's because you lost your passion and you forgot about why you love doing what you do. So that is, you know, people think, you know, athletes' biggest regrets are like could be injuries, but for me, I think it's the burnout. I hate that. I hate seeing that in kids.
Yeah, because all that's really burnt out has been the passion. Yeah.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay, we're dreaming on here. Last thing, before we go into our quick finishes, where do you hope to see the game of lacrosse in 5 years, 10 years? I know the Olympics is a big piece of this, obviously, but as we go into the future, where do you hope to see our game, and what do you hope to, I guess,
Yeah,
continue to change?
definitely. So my answer, if you would have asked me 2 months ago, it probably would have been Olympics for sure. But after going to Hong Kong this summer with the Ireland U20 and working with them over in Dublin a little bit too, I would say that there needs to be more growth in the sport in general and more accessibility. I think, you know, like we want to grow the game and that's great, but like it's not just within our country. There are so many countries out there that have the same passion, but they don't have the same resources. And I think like going overseas and working with those kids at younger ages or even older ages, right? Like that just didn't have access when they were younger, I think is super important. So I would just like to see the World Games, and I say that not the Olympics because I don't not every country is qualifying for the Olympics. Like that's what people are like, oh yeah, lacrosse in the Olympics, but it's what the top 8, top 6 teams. Like there are way more countries than that playing, and it's you know that's just a small window of what it could be. So I think the World Games, I would like to see a rise in the competitiveness, and whether that's, you know, some people going out and, you know, that are playing for their heritage, or if it's the people that are like living in those countries and representing their countries and they're just getting exposure to more um, coaches that you know like that have been doing it for longer or been around the game for longer, just more experienced in a lot of ways. I think that's, yeah, like two
Yeah,
months ago I would have said Olympics, but now knowing what I know and working with kids from all over, you know, Europe, it's definitely changed my point of view.
which is fantastic, right? Like having an eye-opening experience like that wants you to like kind of move forward in how you view things and how you view the game and how you view what the phrase grow the game means. Like I wish I could go overseas every other week. I'm like that, I'm with you on
Right.
it. So, and I'll take you with me next time we go. Um,
Absolutely.
okay, what is next for Nicole Levy? What are you dreaming about these days? What are you dreaming
Um,
about?
well, it's a good one. You know, I think long term, the goal I would say is to eventually, you know, become a head coach if possible. But I think I'm far from that. I think I have so much to learn. So kind of just taking it day by day and absorbing as much as I can and living in the moment is kind of what I've been focusing on for myself, because I do think, like, I was in high school and I couldn't wait to get to Syracuse, and then I was in Syracuse and I couldn't wait to become a coach, and I need to start learning how to live in the moment and appreciate what I have. So that's kind of been my focus recently.
I like that. I think we all need a little bit more of that. I love it. Okay, here's our last thing, and it's super fun, super quick. We're just going to get to know you off the lacrosse field with some of your favorite things. Okay, it's called quick finishes, just like on the crease.
Love it.
Okay.
Skip dunk. Hit you,
So
Mary.
sometimes people give me rapid fire answers. Sometimes people take 7 minutes to explain their answer. You do you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What is your favorite like candy or sweet tooth treat?
Twizzlers, pull and peel.
I knew you were gonna have something on your desk. Wait, I have M&Ms.
Snacking on them all day. Well, there you go.
That's so funny. I love that. Okay. What is the best TV show in your opinion?
Best TV show. Ooh. I like One Tree Hill. Let's go One Tree Hill.
Good one. Good one. You think the rerun is gonna ruin it? Because I do.
Probably.
I hope
Probably.
not. All right. What is who is one of your favorite athletes to follow for inspiration?
That's a good one. I always really liked, I loved Allen Iverson.
I love that.
Practice, we talking about practice? Yeah, no, 100% Allen Iverson. But it's not just like, I just thought he was like kind of smaller stature, but was crafty, got things done. I'm nowhere near as quick as he was, but I think that he played to what he was working with height wise.
I love that. I love that. Okay, what's your go-to breakfast meal?
Probably a classic bacon, egg, and cheese on a bagel from a Long Island bagel shop.
From a bagel shop on Long Island, nowhere else.
Specifically, yes.
If we go anywhere else, we don't eat breakfast.
No. But here I settle for Wawa.
Okay, that works. I guess we know what Wawa is. Okay, this one might be tough for you. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Okay, not tough.
No. Beach.
I had a feeling. Okay, favorite jersey number to rep and why?
12. Because it is my birthday. 12/12.
12/12,
Yeah.
December.
So if anybody wants to send me birthday wishes on December 12th.
Just set your phone reminders now.
Yeah.
She'll take them all. Okay, last two. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
That's a great question. During the week, morning,
Mhm.
weekends, night.
Okay. I like that you're able to bounce back and forth there. I can't do that these days. All right. What is one thing on your bucket list?
One thing on my bucket list. I got a lot of things on my bucket list.
Okay, I love that. Some people don't.
I think it would definitely be to be able to continue, like I'm working with Ireland. I would like to continue to work with them and hopefully grow that program and maybe eventually help them qualify for the Olympics and see what happens after that. But yeah, I think this summer was super impactful for me. So continuing that relationship with everyone that I've kind of built over there.
In the international realm. I love that. That's awesome. And I know it's going to happen for you. I have big confidence in that. So,
Thank you.
well, listen, this episode was awesome. For me, it's always incredible to have a friend and a teammate on and be able to really go through your story, and hear a little bit more about why you do what you do and what inspires you and how you can inspire everybody around you. And you're just an incredible player, incredible person, incredible teammate, incredible coach. And I don't say those things lightly. So I hope you know that I mean it. And thank you so much for being on here today and sharing everything with us.
Thank you so much. That really means a lot to me.
Yep. All right. Thank you everybody for listening. We will see you next time on the Dream On podcast. Bye.